15th, 2017. My name is Bill McCamley. I'm a state representative from here in Las Cruces, New Mexico, with your legislative update for the day. I was going to talk to you about the committee meeting I've been in over the last couple days with tax policy, but instead something else came up today that I really want to discuss with you, and that is regarding next generation science standards. So in March, a bill was passed by the legislature, co-sponsored by myself and another guy named Andres Romero, that would have implemented these next generation science standards. These are new ways of teaching science, including hands-on education and new science topics that are coming up for the 21st century that many other states have implemented, including Kansas, which was famous 20 years ago for taking evolution out of its science curriculum across the country. And we need to do this, right? Our students need to be able to get the science education they're going to need for a 21st century economy. Now, the Martinez administration, Susana Martinez, our governor, has supposedly been looking at this for 4 years and hasn't implemented anything, and that's why we were introducing a bill. It eventually passed. Martinez ended up vetoing the bill with a pocket veto, and we were wondering what was going on with it. Now, before I continue with what happened today, during one of the committee meetings, one of the Martinez administration's former education staffers said, and I quote, "Towards the end of my tenure at the Public Education Department, I was asked to edit and change some of the language in the standards to make them politically sanitized." Remember, science, in regards to things like climate change and evolution, has become very politically charged. And she admitted right there that Susana Martinez wanted to change science education to make it more politically acceptable to her base of right-wing Republicans for things like climate change and evolution. Now today, the plan for those changes was released, and you'll see that they were very politically sanitized. And here's 4 things that they did. Number 1, they actually took out that the Earth is scientifically known to be 4.6 billion years old. That was completely removed from the curriculum. Number 2, they take care at least twice of calling the Earth's temperature, of saying that the Earth's temperature has actually risen, and call it fluctuations instead. Number 3, it takes out the word evolution and replaces it with the word biological diversity. And number 4, it actually adds the following text about the oil and gas industry to a science curriculum. And I quote, "Describe the benefits associated with technologies related to local oil and gas industries and energy production." Now, there are 4 reasons why these changes are monumentally stupid. Number 1, so the scientific process where you put a hypothesis out there and you experiment on them and find out what works and what doesn't are great for so many things that we all agree with. For instance, healthcare. If you get cancer, you go get chemotherapy, which was developed during the scientific process, saves tons of lives. For engineering, I'm doing this on a smartphone. We all have one. You don't have that without the scientific process. Agriculture, all sorts of other things, but it's not okay for things like biology or geology. And this is really, really hypocritical in a couple of different ways. First off, we have a big oil and gas industry here, which we'll talk about in a second. They hire geologists who have to know that the Earth is more than 5,000 years old, as some creationists want, to be able to do their job. Or farmers, many of them who use genetically modified foods. These are the same process of modification that evolution does naturally. So you're taking these very, very scientific processes, you're taking them out of science education, but you're relying on them to make money for the things that a lot of right-wing people want? That's crazy stupid. Number 2, it adds a cheerleading line about the oil and gas industry. And look, you might be able to put something like that in an economics curriculum, but in a science curriculum, that just doesn't belong, especially in a place where oil and gas folks have to hire geologists with a good, thorough, consistent, and truthful education. Number 3, speaking of the economy, this is absolutely horrible for our students. For every person in New Mexico with a science, technology, engineering, or math education, there are 2.1 jobs open for you. We have more jobs than there are people to fill them. For everybody else, there are 3.3 people looking for a job. There are way too many people. We don't have enough jobs for them. It means we want to encourage people to get a good science education so they can go into these jobs and get these very high-paying jobs here in the state. Lowering the standards for that education and removing the education needed for our kids to get a 21st century economy is only going to not allow them to compete with kids from other states to get those jobs. And lastly, recruiting good faculty to New Mexico universities is hard enough as it is, with Susana Martinez vetoing the entire higher education budget last year. Now it's going to be worse, especially for hard sciences, because they're going to go places where they think people take them seriously. And when we're removing basic educational techniques from science from schools, people are going to say, I'm not going to go there. They don't take it seriously. And the kids that are going to be coming to school and taking my classes, they're not going to come with the backgrounds that they need to do well. And this is really not only going to hurt the education of our students even more, but it's going to hurt our economy, as one of the things we need to do much better at in our state is taking technologies that are researched and developed at universities and spinning them off into companies. If the professors that are going to do that aren't going to come here, it hurts our economy. So in short, these changes are hypocritical, they're illogical, they're bad for students, and they're bad for jobs. I will oppose them, and I encourage everyone out there in the state to oppose these as well and get them fixed as soon as possible. Politics should be taken out of science. Our kids should be getting the good education they need, and we need to fight for this. Thanks a lot, everybody, and hope you have a good weekend.